What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another Dragon's Dogma video. This game is filled to the brim with flashy skills and over-the-top attacks that give you the best possible power fantasy. I mean, each class gets access to a number of them, which really lets you change up the combat whenever you want to. But with all of these options, there are bound to be skills that stand above the rest. Today, we're taking a look at the 10 most OP skills in Dragon's Dogma. Each class has at least something on the list, and no matter which you choose to use, you'll be doing some big damage. Let's check it out. First up, we have Holy Affinity. As the upgrade of Holy Boon, this is accessible by both Mage and Sorcerer classes. It charges up a glowing light that, when released, places holy magic on your staff. Not really as cool as a tornado or giant earthquake, but it's often your best option in combat. Holy magic is one of the strongest elements in Dragon's Dogma, as a lot of enemies are weak to it, and it has a chance to heal you when it attacks an opponent. Simply throwing out the yellow balls is good and all, but to really get OP, you gotta hold it down. Press and hold your basic attack button. As soon as you do this, jump and it will cancel the attack, letting you charge up Focused Bolt. This tracks towards enemies and deletes them. Considering this is only gonna waste your stamina to apply the boon, you also sort of have infinite stamina. You could use this to cheese powerful enemies from afar, or simply blast monsters while up close. It's so versatile and powerful that Holy Affinity should almost always be equipped when using these classes. A really fun and strong skill from the Mystic Knight vocation is Ruinous Sigil, the upgrade to Perilous Sigil. It builds up a relatively quick sigil that gets placed on the ground. Considering the sigil doesn't move at all, you might not get much use out of it at first, but it's perfect for a class with long casting times. The sigil will be placed down with whatever element imbue you currently have, so being able to apply holy magic is a great pairing with it. Once down, enemies will be damaged if they walk into the circle. Smaller enemies can be thrown into the air, and the stagger it provides is very strong. Already, this is good as it protects you while charging spells, and you can place 2 at a time. But what if I told you it had a secret power? If you place down a magic cannon in the middle, another Mystic Knight ability, this sigil will activate the cannon, dealing damage itself and sending out thousands of magic orbs. This only happens if the enemy is getting hit by the sigil, but for more aggressive or even slow monsters, it works well. Ruinous Sigil used just for defense is already an S tier skill, but then you get this synergy of spells and it opens up a whole new world of damage you really never thought possible. Available to those in the Assassin vocation, Gale Harness is the upgrade to Wind Harness. It does look pretty basic, but it's absurdly powerful. The skill quickly charges up and then envelops you in a slight fog. You walk, jump, and run faster. Gain extra attack speed, granting you more total damage per second. Faster climbing, faster bow draw speed, and improved stamina recovery. In other words, you do everything faster for about 40 seconds. Not only does this allow you to run around faster, but it massively improves your combat prowess. Monsters can hardly keep up with you, and anytime you want to apply debilitations like torpor, it happens instantly. This feels ridiculous when using a bow, as you can let the arrows fly at inhuman speed. This is another skill that doesn't look like much on the outside, but once you get used to having it, you might have a hard time switching off. If you ever feel like you're moving too slow in combat, or in general, this will be your golden ticket. Immolation is a skill available to the Magic Archer vocation. It's an upgrade to Backfire and can be upgraded even further from a ring in Bitter Black Isle. What's it do? Well, it sets you on fire, dealing minimal damage to the user but loads of damage to anything you touch. But the interesting thing is that it actually deals blunt damage, usually setting things on fire as well. And the reason Immolation is on this list is because it's really good for climbing enemies. Activate it and you passively deal damage while focusing on the combat. I like it because dragons specifically love to keep you from attacking while grappling them. They'll twist about and flap their wings repeatedly to run your stamina dry. But this here can't be stopped, and if it goes on long enough, will stagger the beast, giving you one more moment just to use Scarlet Kiss. Immolation also has some really fun uses, such as this one here in the Giant Eye fight. No need to attack whatsoever, and it does all the work. Since the damage on this skill is a bit odd, you can increase both strength or magic and still scale the damage well. It can also save you from things like Man-Eaters, which are your mimics, making it a must-have on any Magic Archer build. While we're on the topic of Magic Archer skills, you know I had to include Ricochet Hunter. Magic Archer has several skills that can be downright broken, but nothing feels quite like Ricochet Hunter. Being the upgrade to Ricochet Seeker, this lets loose several lightning bolts that bounce off of objects multiple times. When you first use it, the damage is terrible and maybe almost never pick it up again. But that's because a large portion of the early game in Dragon's Dogma is out in open space. Once you reach Bitter Black Isle, however, it's one of the easiest and most low-effort ways to beat the DLC. The entire place is a bunch of rooms and hallways. You can get more bounces off of each bolt than ever even seemed possible, and the damage racks up quickly. Since it's a ranged attack, you can also stay really far from a fight and fire lightning at walls or just the ceiling. You really can't mess with this one, and since a lot of large monsters are weak to lightning, it works wonders. Of all the skills in this game, this one seems to be the most unfair. Practically zero effort and you could clear rooms in seconds. Stack up a few magic parry hits and this skill becomes the most glorious light show the world has ever seen. With the Mystic Knight vocation, you gain access to Great Cannon, an upgraded version of Magic Cannon that I brought up earlier when talking about the Sigil skill. This one, while not nearly as flashy as the parry side of Magic Knight, is how I beat Damon for the first time. You summon an orb in front of you that, when hit, sends out waves of magic orbs. These giant orbs will form for whatever elemental boon is on your weapon at the time, and you can summon up to 3 of them. With the skill Full Moon Slash, you can get multiple tiny orbs to spawn instantly and they travel large distances. Mystic Knight is a more melee magic mix, and while the vocation has a lot of melee focused attacks, this is his excellent option for range. It's a requirement since you can take down flying enemies much easier. And again, the damage is big. But another little detail about this powerful magic is that you aren't the only one who could affect a large orb. Many different enemy attacks can actually trigger it, allowing monsters to beat up themselves. Also, your pawns can sometimes trigger, and a successful parry while in the right place will bring about the destruction you so desire. Great Cannon is extremely easy to use and will tear apart the game with extreme malice. Of course, the Ranger vocation has a lot of skills to offer, but if we're talking the best, I had to go with Tenfold Flurry, which looses 10 arrows at a time. On its own, you could deal some high damage, use some strength parry hits, and watch the health bars melt. It's one of the skills I never take off as Ranger because its utility is too high. As long as you hit weak points, the arrows cut deep and will never let you down. Now, of course, bows do get a significant upgrade from the cheat code that is Blast Arrows. These deal much more damage and will make hard enemies complete pushovers. But what's better than shooting 1 blast arrow? Shooting 10 blast arrows. When paired with these explosive arrows, Tenfold Flurry becomes stupid good. Being able to take down dragons and ogres and 2 uses of the skill. I mean, even Death, who never takes any damage at all, shudders at the sight of this pairing. Using this in the main game is honestly pointless, up until you reach the Everfall. Monsters just drop too fast, but in the DLC, there's nothing more satisfying than blowing up 10 arrows in the faces of those who have wronged you. I will admit I don't know much about the Warrior vocation yet, but the one thing I do know is that Arc of Deliverance stood out immediately. This is the upgraded version of Arc of Might and will deliver a gigantic smash after charging up. The charge up takes a bit and you're very vulnerable while doing so, but the base damage of this skill alone makes it totally worth it. You can also move around while charging up, making it a little better for doing attacks. Although big monsters don't really care much about this small movement. But you also only use a set amount of stamina, meaning you could charge it up slightly out of battle and move in at a slow pace for the ultimate kill. Just due to the nature of Arc of Deliverance, it's not an easy one to use as compared to other ones on this list. But it's the biggest bonk ability I could find and it will indeed get you addicted to this class. You can sort of see how epic the slash looks just from the footage, but I'm telling you it's not the same as using it. The effect you have on the battlefield is unrivaled. In the Fighter vocation, you gain access to a skill called Dragon's Maw. It's the upgraded version of Legion's Bite and must be used if you take this class or use a fighter pawn. You slash rapidly several times with your sword, ending with a powerful strike that sends enemies flying. You also gain iframes, meaning you can nullify attacks while using it, making it great against small enemies for big damage, and making it good for dodging big monsters' attacks. The stamina usage is a bit brutal, but you really are getting the most bang for your buck. The attacks will pull enemies in, making you the one controlling the fight. As a fighter, your job is to often protect your party using taunt and being aggressive. Since you already have a shield, your defensive capabilities start out high. Dragon's Maw slides right in, keeping you at the center of attention while still dealing high damage. Another aspect to consider is Fighter doesn't get a dodge roll, so you either block or take the attack head on. Dragon's Maw will give you more leeway and makes the no dodge feel more right. And finally, we come to the best skill in all of Dragon's Dogma, the unattested monster-slaying machine that is Skull Splitter. As an upgrade from Helm Splitter from the Strider vocation, this feels very unfair. You jump in the air and spin several times with your daggers pulled out as you come back down. The daggers attack numerous times, making this do more damage than most skills. Jump before using it and you could get even more damage with more spins. You also have the ability to negate any fall damage by running straight to the end of a cliff and using the skill at the last second, not only making this effective, but fun to use. Now, you might notice there's some goofiness that happens with your cloak. You move so fast that apparently the thing just can't keep up. I hardly notice it after using it so long, but it can stretch your cloak pretty far. The crazy thing is, there really isn't much else to say about Skull Splitter. This is exactly what it does, but the feeling of using it is beyond words. You obliterate your foes with no remorse. You could even attack liches who fly high in the air just because you have that nice jump added in with this skill. Skull Splitter is what Striders do. If you pick up this class, you'll eventually be pulled into using it, as the damage is too good. Hitting weak points with this is like finding the delete button, because it takes away multiple health bars in one use. And there you have it, guys, the 10 most OP skills in Dragon's Dogma. Of course, as with any game, this is open to your own interpretation. I think if I was playing with each respective class, this is what I would equip, but others might find love somewhere else. All I ask is if it's your first time playing the game, try each of them out. You'll not regret it. Dragon's Dogma has loads to offer, and the majority of the fun factor comes from the over-the-top skills. Sacrificing your pawns to deal more damage, or getting hit to dish out a more powerful attack. It's stuff straight out of a comic book, and we love it. Hopefully you enjoyed the video, and don't be afraid to hit that like button if you did. Thanks for watching, everyone, and I'll catch you next time.